Science, we are going to revise food chains. So in a food chain, the first thing we have is always a producer. A producer is called that because it produces its own food. This is done through a process called photosynthesis. The plant absorbs light from the sun, and this is why we call the sun the original source of energy in a food chain. Next up, we have the primary consumer. In our food chain, this is called a locust. This locust will eat the grass. When the locust eats the grass, the energy from the grass goes into the locust's body. So for this reason, we draw an arrow going from the producer to the primary consumer. So the arrow shows the flow or the path of energy. Next up, we have the secondary consumer. And in this case, we have a frog. The frog will eat the locust. And when that frog eats the locust, the energy from the locust's body will go into the frog. Therefore, we draw an arrow that goes from the locust to the frog. Next up, we have a tertiary consumer. And in this food chain, we have a snake. So this snake is going to eat our secondary consumer. So when the snake eats the frog, the energy from the frog will go into the snake's body. So again, we are following the energy. So this arrow is going to represent the energy from the frog's body going into the snake's body. And last up is the quaternary consumer. And in this case, we have a bird of prey. So when this bird of prey eats the snake, the energy from the snake's body is going to go into the bird's body. Therefore, we draw an arrow to represent that. And that shows a full food chain. There is usually never more than 5 levels, what we call trophic levels in a food chain. And usually only a maximum of 10% of the energy is passed on from one trophic level to another. The reason only such a small amount of energy is passed on is because most of the time the living organism doesn't eat all of the body of the living organism it's consuming. Some is lost through respiration, through the heat that respiration produces in the animal's body. Some of it is used for movement, and some of it is through egestion, which is pooping to you and I. So in this food chain, you've got some predators and some prey. So the predators are those living organisms